Let's begin. We need to create a new document, 1 inch by 1 inch, 72 pixels per inch. RGB color, 8-bit is fine. Click create. Then zoom in so we can see what we're doing here. Over in the tools, select the ellipse tool. We want to make kind of an elongated oval. It doesn't have to be exact, but roughly a third of the height of our square. I want to use a dark gray to fill this in with. There will be no stroke around the outside for this pattern. Then let's select the layer style and choose inner shadow. The blend mode is normal. Opacity can be anywhere from 75 to 80%. The angle 90. Distance 2. Choke 2%. Size 3 pixels. Then click OK. Use your move tool and carefully slide this to where it's halfway. Through the oval, and it's about halfway up on our canvas there. After that, we can duplicate the layer and move this part over to the other side. I'm going to adjust this one over just 1 pixel. It looked a little bit off there to me. Once that is done, duplicate the layer again. And have that up towards the top in the middle. Duplicate again. And this looks pretty good. So to test this out, I can go to Edit, Define Pattern. I will call this Jersey Mesh Pattern, something that you can remember the name of it. Then click OK. And if I create a new document, and let's say this one's going to be 5 inches by 5 inches, and make a new layer. It doesn't matter what color you fill it with, but shift backspace to fill, or use your paint bucket tool. Then go into this layer style and find pattern overlay. Over here where we have the different types of patterns, if I click on this, I can find my pattern I created. For the blend mode, choose normal, and for the opacity, 100%. And you can choose whatever scale that you want, depending on how close you want the picture to look. If your ovals are too close together, you can always go back to your original file and adjust the size of the oval, move things around a little bit if needed, and fine-tune those small adjustments to get it just the way you want. Once you have that done, then you're ready for the next step. I went back and finished my changes with my mesh pattern. I'm now ready to apply it to a repeatable sports content theme. I'm going to go with 1080 pixels wide by 1350 pixels tall. So this would work for Instagram or even Twitter, now that it allows you to have the portrait photographs. 72 pixels per inch is fine again. RGB color is good. Click create, and here's our canvas. Just like I did when I tested this before, I'll make a new layer, fill it with whatever color that I want, Go into the layer style and choose pattern overlay. I'll choose my updated pattern here. And 45 looks like it'll be fine for right now. Again, I can always go back and change that in my layer style later, which is very convenient. Click OK. Then I can make a new layer over the top. This layer is going to have a rectangle. You can either use the rectangle tool or the rectangular marquee tool and fill it in with white. I'm just using the same color here. I'll choose that layer style and select drop shadow. And I wouldn't go further than 2 for the distance. And for the size, I wouldn't go much over 4 if at all. And then for the percentage of spread, it's kind of up to you. I'm going to go with 2. And I might even change this distance from 2 and go down to 1. And maybe make the size to 4. The opacity for this now, nothing too drastic. I will select 50% and normal for the blend mode. Perfect. That's centered up at the top, pretty good. Maybe lower it just a little bit, that'll be fine. Alright, so this here is the basic jersey background for this theme that I want to use. Now the next part that I want to choose is a new layer, and this layer is going to be whatever the color of the jersey is that you want it to be. So select, it'll be a little bit off, but it'll be pretty close. Let's choose color, and for the color here I'm going to select 004C54, which is midnight green, and click OK. Then for the layer style, I can select multiply. And that looks pretty good. Alright, the next part will be to add some text. So for this, I'm going to choose white for the color. And using whatever typeface that you want to use, I'm just going to type in here and once you have that text kind of the size that you want it, we can go back to the rectangle we made earlier and adjust that rectangle so that it fits the text appropriately on there. Maybe make it a little taller. That looks good. I want to double check, make sure I don't have 2 spaces there. Alright. Any other text effects that you want to add to that text? So if I want to put an outline on the outside of this, I could put one stroke around the outside, and for the color on this, A5ACAF, and then maybe that is going to be 3 pixels, depending on how you want that to look. I'm going to also put another outline on the outside of that one, and this one will be 8. Looks good right there. All right, good. I can then add another text using whatever font that you want. It can match the same as the words as you wish. And I'm a Kelsey fan for the Philadelphia Eagles. I can go into the layer style here, add the first one. Now I might make the stroke around the outside of this a little wider than I did above because these numbers are a lot bigger. So I'm going to see what 10 looks like, see what 8 looks like. That's pretty decent. I can add another one, and let's see what 15. Let's maybe try 20 and see where we're at with that. I think that looks pretty good. And then click OK. Now that that is done, I do want to put a little bit of a shadow underneath, but because of these outlines, the shadow is going to be smaller than the number. So I want to duplicate this layer, and I'll bring this underneath to 62. Then select rasterize type, convert to smart object, and if I use Control L for my levels, I'm going to bring the white arrow all the way to the left, which is going to make that black. Then rasterize layer, and just using my arrow keys I can move that off centered a little bit. Now it wouldn't be a bad idea to select filter, blur, Gaussian blur, just to kind of soften that a little bit. 2 pixels is probably okay. And then also drop the opacity of that down a little so you can see behind it a little bit. It's real subtle. But I think it looks nice. The next part will be to add another layer at the top. This one I'll use the key command shift backspace to fill. I'll choose 50% gray. And let's try hard light for this. And choose the burn tool. The size of this will kind of depends on what you want to do. But using that burn tool on this 50% gray layer, just kind of starting on the left hand side. I'm going to make kind of a curved path along there, then down a little bit. I'll make that line, and I'm just retracing back. Sometimes you won't need to retrace back. Sometimes you need to do it multiple times. Okay, this time and kind of draw those in to give you a little bit of some folds and wrinkle appearance on your jersey here. And I think we're pretty well set. You have a nice graphic that can be used for some repeatable content. You can always go in and rechange the text or the number, change the color to make it for a different team. A lot of cool possibilities with this. I hope you got something out of this. Let me know what you think, and thanks a bunch for watching. We'll catch you on the next tutorial.